There's this one scientific theory that is driving me insane, and I'm gonna tell you about it today. It's called the white hole paradox. So, black holes suck everything in. That's what makes them black holes. They have an incredibly strong gravitational pull. So anything that gets too close to them, whether it's light or matter or space or time itself, gets sucked into the black hole. And once something crosses the event horizon of a black hole, there's no coming back. Not even light can escape a black hole's gravitational pull. So once it crosses the event horizon, it's gone forever. But here's where things get weird. Scientists theorize that for every black hole in the universe, there exists a white hole somewhere out there. A white hole is basically the opposite of a black hole. Instead of having a gravitational pull that sucks stuff in, it would push stuff out. Anything that got too close to a white hole would be blasted away from it at incredible speeds. So, if you were near a white hole, you wouldn't get sucked in, you'd get blown up. Now, scientists haven't actually seen any white holes yet, which is kind of a problem. It's like they have these ideas about how the universe works, but they can't test their ideas because they can't find any evidence to support their ideas. It's like they trying to prove Einstein wrong by showing that the speed of light can actually be exceeded. But that's not how science works. If you want to prove a theory, you need evidence. You can't just say, I think I'm right, so I must be. Well, let me explain. The reason why scientists believe that white holes should exist is because of how the universe began. According to the Big Bang Theory, the universe began as an incredibly hot, dense singularity. Then, over billions of years, that singularity expanded outwards and cooled down, eventually forming the universe as we know it today. But at some point, the expansion of the universe had to flip and gravity took over, or else everything would just fly away into outer space. And that would be pretty bad for us because then we wouldn't exist. But here's where things get weird. If gravity flipped and started pulling things together, didn't that mean that somewhere there should be a white hole? Like if our universe started as a white hole, then that would explain why gravity works the way that it does. So scientists theorize that the Big Bang wasn't actually the beginning of the universe, but rather the beginning of a phase transition. You know, like when water vapor condenses into dew on a cool morning, except instead of water vapor turning into dew, the universe went from being white hole dominated to black hole dominated. Okay, so now we have two problems. 1, we can't find any white holes. And 2, we don't know why the universe went from white hole dominated to black hole dominated. Some scientists think that maybe black holes used to be white holes and then something happened that caused them to flip. Or maybe white holes only exist in very specific circumstances and we just haven't found those circumstances yet. What's really driving me crazy, though, is that we don't know how common white holes are supposed to be. Some scientists think that there could be more white holes than black holes. Others think that for every black hole, there is exactly one white hole, and still others think that the number of white holes is somewhere between the number of black holes and the number of stars in the universe. The range of possibilities is so huge that it's impossible to say for sure which one is correct. And without knowing how common white holes are supposed to be, it's impossible to design an experiment to find one. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except you don't know how big the haystack is supposed to be. There are other problems with the white hole hypothesis, too. For example, it's hard to see how white holes could ever collapse into black holes since they constantly pushing stuff away from them. But I am willing to bet that scientists will continue to look for white holes until they either find one or rule out the possibility that they exist at all. But while scientists are looking for white holes, there's another group of people out there who already believe that they've found one. These people aren't scientists, though. They're members of a doomsday cult called the People's Temple. In 1978, the cult leader Jim Jones convinced his followers that a white hole had been discovered near the town of Jonestown, Guyana. Jones told his followers that the white hole was a portal to another dimension, and that the only way to save themselves from the coming apocalypse was to move through the portal with him. Over 900 members of the People's Temple died after drinking cyanide-laced Kool-Aid in Jonestown, believing that it would allow them to pass through the portal and reach the other side. Now, I am not saying that white holes don't exist just because a bunch of crazy people drank poison and died. But it does seem pretty unlikely that there is a white hole at the exact location where 900 cult members drank poison and died. The odds of that happening are so small that it would be considered a miracle. So, where could white holes be hiding? Well, one place scientists think they might be hiding is inside neutron stars. Neutron stars are incredibly dense objects that are left over after certain types of stars explode as supernovae. If a star is massive enough, its core can collapse in on itself after it runs out of nuclear fuel. This causes a tremendous amount of pressure which can force the protons and electrons in the star's core to combine and form neutrons. The result is an object that is almost entirely made up of neutrons and has an incredibly strong gravitational pull. Some scientists think that the immense gravity of a neutron star could be strong enough to cause it to collapse into a black hole. If that happened, it would be like watching a ball reach the end of a game of catch and then suddenly vanish into thin air. But if the neutron star didn't completely collapse into a black hole, it might form a white hole instead. Another place scientists think white holes might be hiding is inside black holes. Now this sounds crazy, but hear me out. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, space and time are intertwined in a four-dimensional fabric called spacetime. When an object with mass enters a black hole, it warps spacetime around it. The more mass the object has, the more spacetime it warps. Now imagine taking a piece of rubber and stretching it out. Then take a smaller piece of rubber and put it on top of the first piece. The smaller piece will be stretched out along with the larger piece. But if you keep adding more and more small pieces of rubber, eventually the rubber band will snap. And that's kind of what happens inside a black hole. Eventually, the warping of spacetime becomes so extreme that it snaps back the other way. And when it snaps back, it creates a white hole. In fact, scientists think that most black holes have white hole counterparts. It's just that the white holes are hidden behind the black holes. So, if you wanted to find a white hole, you'd have to find a black hole and then somehow look through it. Good luck with that. The truth is, we don't know where white holes might be hiding. But if they exist, they're out there. And maybe one day we'll find one. Maybe it'll be in our own backyard. Maybe it'll be in your closet. Who knows? Speaking of things we don't know, what do you not know that you want to know? Like, what's the capital of Uzbekistan, or what does the world's smallest mammal look like? Well, so go check that out. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.